All right, cool. Welcome back to the Velero video series where we are essentially deploying Velero into an EKS cluster in order to then back up our EKS resources slash Kubernetes resources automatically. In the previous videos, we looked at the architecture, we looked at the file structure of our project, and we in fact even started provisioning or writing code in order to provision certain things, including this bucket that you're seeing on the screen. In this video, we are going to look at IAM policies. Now, this is going to be an in-depth one. So if we go to IAM, essentially what this is about, it's about creating a role that has the required permissions that can then be assumed by a service account, which is used by a pod, which is the Velero pod, to then back up certain things into S3 and to create snapshots. So that's kind of like it's a huge, that's a that's a huge integration of resources, right? So in order to do this, we need three things. We need an IAM policy document, we need the role, and we need to attach the role to the IAM policy document, right? So let's start off with that. So I'm going to start off with AWS underscore IAM policy. Oh, shoot, sorry. Policy. Okay, and we're going to give it, let's say it's Velero IAM policy. Okay, we're going to give it a name. And the name we're going to give it is Velero IAM policy. And then we're going to say, again, we're going to bring in random integer, and we're going to say this dot id. Obviously, this is going to help us randomize certain things. The description, that's fine. I'm happy with that description. And then obviously the policy. Yeah. Like so. Okay. Just make sure these are aligned. Okay, cool. Now, when it comes to the policy, what we're going to do is we're going to have version, and it's going to come from 2012, 10, 17, like so, and then statement. Now, it's going to be an array. I'm going to take a couple of statements. In the first statement, we're going to have action, certain actions that are going to be allowed, and then we're going to have an effective allow, and then the resources all. Okay, and what we want, sorry, we want EC2, which is describe volumes. It's the first one we want, and I'm just going to copy this. Okay, just paste it a couple of times. Okay, the second permission that we're going to need is to describe snapshots. Then the other one is going to be to create tags. Next one is to create volume. The next one is to create snapshot. Okay. The next one is to delete snapshot. Okay, cool. So as you can imagine, this is related to now persistent volumes. It should be able to describe volumes, look at what's there. It should be able to describe existing snapshots, create tags, and then importantly be able to create volumes, create snapshots, as well as delete snapshots, right? So when we do a restore, we should be able to create a volume based on a snapshot that we've created, right? That's essentially what those permissions are doing. The next set of permissions is going to be related to S3, right? I'm going to take what is being suggested here, and I'm just going to customize it to what we need, right? Obviously, we do need to allow certain things. The first one will be to get object, put object, delete object. Oh, I got now nice copilot. Yeah, because this is exactly the permissions we need, and we need them on this bucket that we have created. So again, we'll be able to put backup files. We'll be able to, we'll be able to get we'll be able to put, we'll be able to delete if we need to do, for example, if we delete a backup, we should be able to delete the files related to that backup, and so on and so forth. So these are the permissions that are required. So the next thing to do here is to create a role now. I'm gonna take your suggestions and then make a couple of changes here. So I'm just gonna say -sa service account. So I'm aware it's okay, cool. Now we are gonna do an assume, but it's not gonna be to assume role. It'll be to assume role with with web identity, which means that we're gonna be assuming this role in relation to the Open Connect ID integration between EKS and IAM. All right, so we'll be allowed, and the principal is going to be federated, and we're going to pass it the ARN, AWS. Cool. And where this is going to come from, so I guess Copilot kind of guessed this as well, is that it's going to come from the current ID, account ID that we're in, and the provider will be passed in from the variables that we have here. So it's kind of smart enough, right? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a condition. Okay, and what we want to do here is that should only allow us if the string itself equals the OIDC provider URL sub and refers to a specific service account. So system. So if you come from a Kubernetes background, you'll realize you would have seen a format like this where system is essentially the I want to say the namespace, then the service account itself, and the namespace which that service account in, and then obviously the service account name, right? Then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do the same, right? But we want to make sure that it's saying that we are assuming this role from that service account, right? I might have to do a video on itself in terms of how integrations between EKS and IAM actually work, right? Now that we're done there, what we want to do is then we want to attach. We then want to do an attachment between these two things, right? Let me just do this. Copilot is really helpful. So we want to do an attachment between the role and the policy document, right? And that should give us this role, which we can then assume within our service account, which we'll work on next, and that will allow us to have the permissions, or will allow Velero to have the permissions to then do certain things like backing up snapshots, as well as creating and putting up backups in S3, right? So yeah, thank you for watching this one. We'll jump into the next video where we'll then look at creating a namespace as well as a service account. Thank you for watching.